Okay, Chapter 20, Lecture 1, The Conservative Order and Challenges of Reform from 1815 to 1832. 1815 is the cutoff between Semester 1 and Semester 2. One of the words we're going to be hearing a lot about is conservatism and liberalism, and being able to make the distinction between the two is really important. This is a famous picture by Eugene Delacroix that is an example of the revolution of the time, the upheaval. Nationalism, a key word. First of all, it's an ism, which makes it part of the standard, but it'll be used throughout the entire rest of the second semester. Is it people that are brought together by common bonds of language, customs, culture, and history. It is involved in every major event in the second semester, from this chapter to World War I, World War II, and even up until today. And it developed in the late 18th century and early 19th centuries. This idea of one country. In this picture you can see the flags are starting to come into place. This is an example of nationalism. Uniforms. So the Vienna settlement opponents. Nationalists felt nations should be based on ethnicity, not monarchies and dynasties. That was Congress of Vienna as a basis for national unity. So this was an idea that ethnicities rather than kings should be ruling. Now this is after Napoleon is being defeated. This Congress of Vienna is very important. Nation based on qualities of people, not of rulers. Confusion, though, because of minority groups. Well, when there's so many different minority groups, it makes it hard to split them apart. It becomes more fractured as a country. National languages. A language as the binding thing of a country. For example, in the United States, English is the national language. In France, French, English, and so on. That nations should be created based on unifying languages. National languages replace local dialects. So there's a common language that everyone speaks. Meaning of nationhood. Some people argue that nationalism was based on eliminated dynastic states and having administrative and economic efficiency. Others argue that nations kept and created on the basis of the divine order of things. Not all ethnic groups ended up becoming nations, as you needed to be large enough to establish an economy. Nationalistic pressure. Nationalists challenged political status quo in 6 different European areas, and this is good to write down. In this, keep in mind the different countries that are being brought in. England brought Ireland under British rule in 1800, causing problems for 2 centuries and even today. Germany pitted Austria against Prussia, one against the other. Italy sought to take over the Italian peninsula from Austria, World War I. Poland struggled with Russia over independence, Cold War. Eastern Europe, Hungarians, Czechs, Slovenes sought independence from Austria. Serbs, Greeks, Albanians, Romanians, Bulgarians, this is what are called the Balkans, sought independence from the Ottomans and the Russians. In each area, nationalist feelings ebbed and flowed. So even today with Crimea, where you have nationalist tendencies. Okay. Early 19th century liberals. Now this is the opposite of what a conservative is. Political goals of liberals were usually educators, wealthy, excluded from the political process. They looked for Enlightenment idea type things. Legal equality, religious toleration, freedom of press, and written constitutions. So they were more parliamentary rather than going with the monarch. Their economic goals wanted free trade, Adam Smith, less government regulation, Adam Smith, and their relationship of nationalism to liberalism. Opposition. Nationalists wanted to dominate a particular national or ethnic group within a particular reason, and they're compatible in nationalists to gain liberal support by espousing their ideals. For example, Greece, which will be coming up. Conservative outlooks. Conservatives' pillars were legitimate monarchies, aristocracies, and established churches. So they're old traditional. They did not want written constitutions because they wanted a monarchy and they disliked the Enlightenment. The Habsburg Empire. This is Austria. Habsburg nationalism in Austria felt threatened by a large number of different ethnic groups. Austrian Prince Clemens von Metternich, this is a name that anytime you see it, make a mental note, felt Austria had to dominate the German Confederation to keep it from developing its own constitution. He was a conservative. There's a picture of him. He's also the host of the Congress of Vienna. Defeat of Prussian reform is Frederick William III, Prussian leader. So keep in mind Prussia, Frederick William III, who created a Council of State, which established 8 provincial diets or congresses. The Junkers dominated, which is the aristocracy, keeping the bond between the monarchy and the landholders. The Burschenschaften and the Karlsbad degrees. Now these are 2 questions in your test bank. The Burschenschaften was a student association of German nationalists, and that's what conservatives wanted to avoid. Often anti-Semitic, that's important. One member, Karl Sand, murdered dramatist August von Kotzebue and was similarly executed for the crime. Carlsbad decrees, ordered by Metternich, dissolved this nationalistic society. And there's a picture of the execution in public. And we will stop here.